Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And a wonderful morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And we broadcast, of course, on TV1, which is a proud member of the Capital Maharaja Group. Now, this morning, our focus will be shifting away from the Republic of Sri Lanka to another republic, the Republic of Maldives, where serious departures from democratic norms has caused anxiety and worry to the people of the Maldives and also to its very many visitors who make the annual pilgrimage almost to that wonderful country. We will be joined by the former President Mohammed Nasheed, who's currently stuck in traffic, something perhaps that he doesn't have on those wonderful islands. But in the meantime, we'll go through what the newspapers have to say. We'll start off with the Daily Mirror, and they've got 4 lovely photographs at the beginning, and the first one, it says, President Maithripala Sirisena says, I will not join hands with fraudsters. And Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says, don't lose what you achieved in 2015. And Anwar Kumar Dissanayake says, win at local government polls a stepping stone. And the former President Mahinda Rajapaksa says, will transform country into a paradise. And moving on a bit, the Auditor General shows that there is a mismatch in between loans and assets, and throwing a bit of clarity to President Sirisena's claim earlier in the week, where he said that out of 10.3 trillion, there was only 1.3 million that could be really accounted for in terms of assets. And a little bit moving on here, the police and the STF have announced that over 65,000 of their cadre will be allocated to election duties. And President Sirisena has also revoked, according to the Daily Mirror, has revoked a decision to suspend the Sri Lanka's military attaché in London. And that's the news from the Daily Mirror. Now then, the Ceylon Today has got, it says here, UMP seeks to align local government bodies with the centre, whereas on the other side of the page it says MR claims government incompetent. And the President in the centre says here that he is ready to sacrifice life. And the President says he's seeking clean government sans corruption, and invites MR to make a change at the polls and to ensure resources for, he assures that he will ensure resources for local government bodies. And the Island, that other newspaper that we are fond of reading, starts off with the headline that Lanka's debt hidden in dummy accounts. And the Auditor General was very well outspoken yesterday when he highlighted the growing anomalies and stark differences between the debt calculations by the Central Bank and the Ministry of Finance, and sort of provided clarity on the difference, the huge disparity between the 1 trillion worth of assets and the 10.3 trillion worth of debt, local and international. And of course, one of the problems here has been that all of this doesn't turn up, doesn't sort of give the public much confidence when debt has been hidden away here, there and everywhere instead of coming through the central funds, which is the Ministry of Finance. Now then, on that note, we're going for a short break, after which we will be joined by former President Mohammed Nasheed.
With Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And welcome back to Newsline, where we are now joined by President Mohammed Nasheed of the Republic of the Maldives. Very good morning to you, President Nasheed.
Good morning, Faraz. Nice to be with you.
Thank you very much, and we're sorry about the traffic, and obviously the Rajagiri flyover is caused.
Well, I did mention it was trying to see my wife off. That took me all the time.
So you had to choose between your marriage and our program?
But I sincerely hope that I've got both.
You've got both. You
have the cake and eat it.
Oh, wonderful. Now then, what on earth is what on earth is happening on that wonderful island of yours?
Whereas nothing on earth is happening there. It's
that's
not,
the problem.
That's the problem. It's not this planet.
Right.
It's very difficult to explain.
Right.
On the 1st of February,
Yeah.
our Supreme Court
Yeah.
came out with a verdict.
Right.
They announced that a number of political prisoners must be released.
Right.
All throughout the last 4 years, everyone, the international community, number of governments, NGOs, the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, they have all said, for instance, I'm one of those who were released.
Right.
They have all said that my charge was wrong, politically motivated.
Right.
The sentence was politically motivated.
Right.
The trial was wrong.
Right.
So they've all said all these things,
Yeah.
and they've all asked the Maldives Supreme Court to overturn the judgment.
Right.
And finally, the Supreme Court did it on 1st of February.
Right.
And President Yamin, of course, didn't like this.
Right.
So he imposed emergency rule. He arrested the judges, and he arrested the Chief Justice of the Maldives, and also another justice.
You've had 2 police chiefs in as much as 2 or 3 days.
We've gone through 2 police chiefs because 2 previous police chiefs refused to arrest these people.
Right.
They've also wanted to abide by the Supreme Court ruling.
Right.
But because President Yamin has refused to do that,
Right.
he has, the police chiefs refused to do that.
Right.
President Yamin has again removed them.
Right.
So it's really becoming a complete banana republic.
And
Very sad.
and what is the fate of your other former president, Gayoom?
Now this is again it's a shame.
Right.
It's a disgrace.
Right.
President Yamin has arrested President Gayoom,
Right.
his own brother,
Right.
who is over 80 years old,
Right.
who had ruled our country for 30 years,
Right.
and he is behind bars.
Does President Gayoom remain popular amongst your population?
Well, President Gayoom is accepted. For instance, during our time in government,
Yeah.
we did everything to make sure that he has a dignified life.
Right.
And
You didn't bother him?
no, we didn't bother him. There was one instance when we asked him a question,
Yeah.
but there was never any intention of harming him,
Right.
or doing anything to him.
Right.
And I really had made it very clear to the former president that
Right.
was the case. Now, President Yamin, in his efforts to consolidate power,
Yeah.
he has always felt that his half-brother, his brother, would be an obstruction
Right.
for his consolidation of power.
Right.
President Gayoom has he has very bright 4 children.
Yeah.
Now, again, the family is also divided.
Right.
We have a situation where President Gayoom's daughter, Dunia Mamoon,
Yeah.
had the audacity to come out on the TV and on some news channel and say that the emergency is a necessity. Now, we can't understand how the emergency becomes a necessity.
Right. And what is her standing to make such a pronouncement?
Well, she wants to please President Yamin, and I am unable to fathom why.
Does she have any official role?
She is a junior minister.
She's a junior minister.
She is a junior minister.
I see. And what do you say? I see that you've been sort of cleared by the Supreme Court. and they've suggested that you can, that if need be, they can have another trial, a fit and proper trial.
No, Faraz, it didn't end there.
Ah, right. Oh, there's still more.
There's still more to come.
Okay.
Okay, on 1st of February, they overturned my judgment.
Yeah.
And then President Yamin went ahead,
Yeah.
declared emergency, arrested the judges,
Yeah.
and got the remaining 3 judges to overturn the previous overturn of the sentence.
Right.
So I'm again back at square one.
Oh, you're back to square one. I see.
But
So-
you can now see how comical the whole thing is.
Well, yeah.
So I really am not back at square one.
Right.
And I believe that now it's just a matter of time before President Yamin falls.
And your constitution dictates that he must hold an election. Is that
Well,
right? Or is it-
again, our constitution dictates many things. There's no stipulation in our constitution that says you can go ahead and arrest the Chief Justice.
Right.
So what the constitution says and what President Yamin does
Yeah.
is quite something else.
We have one of our viewers who is asking, why is it that President Gayoom was arrested? What did they say?
Now, President Yamin has accused President Gayoom
Yeah.
of having schemed
Yeah.
to overthrow the regime,
Right.
overthrow President Yamin.
Yeah.
Now, there's no scheming in it. It's very obvious.
Right.
Yes, we do want President Yamin gone,
Right.
but we want to do it through the parliament.
Yeah.
And we didn't even want it through the judiciary.
Right.
We just want to have a normal, no confidence impeachment process,
Right.
and we want to go through that. There's no one's hiding that.
But President Yamin's gone through some extraordinary lengths to make sure that the parliament doesn't sit, like surround the parliament.
Yeah, again, recently he reinforced his military into the parliament.
Right.
So it's kind of, the parliament itself is therefore unable to function at all. So we have a situation where the judiciary is not working,
Right.
The legislature is not working,
Right.
and the executive, the president, is doing everyone's work.
Right.
So the president is passing judgment, the president is making legislation, and the president is also ruling. It's a very strange situation, but I personally feel
Yeah.
that this is just a matter of time. He cannot do all this and remain.
And how's the support, or what is indeed the assistance, or what are the views of your international partners, like the United States, Britain, Europe, Australia, India?
Well, India and almost every single European country, including the United Kingdom
Yeah.
and the United States, Australia, New Zealand and Canada, all these countries have come out with very, very strong statements asking President Yamin to back out, adhere to the Supreme Court verdict, and release the prisoners and lift the emergency.
Right.
The United States have said in exactly similar words. But he is still refusing to do that. And now, yesterday, he has said that he is sending envoys to friendly countries.
Right.
And he identified 3 friendly countries. Now, this is surprising.
Right.
China, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan.
Right.
Now, again, we can't understand why any of these countries have also need to back President Yamin at all.
But are they backing them, or are they him, or are they hoping to open up a dialogue so that they can perhaps persuade him to see the errors in his ways when he's making such a significant and marked departure from democratic norms?
Well, I believe that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will not back him. I'm very clear on that, and I've been told.
We've got a sort of new de facto king who's young and who's made a big stance, taken a hard stance against corruption.
Exactly.
And well publicized
Yes,
as well.
and as things would have it, there is, the Saudi government gave us an aid.
Yeah.
This is like three years back.
Yeah.
And I think the Saudi king is unable to find where the money went.
Oh.
And the king has been, I am told, or the crown prince, of course can't be very pleased by this. He is going on a anti-corruption drive.
Yeah.
And President Yamin stands accused of biggest corruption matters in the Maldives history. And some of that is to do with Saudi money. So we've also asked the kingdom to have a look at what happened to the aid that you gave. I assume that the Saudi kingdom or the crown prince or the Saudi government did not give this money to President Yamin, but probably to the government of Maldives and the people of the Maldives. It's development assistance.
Yeah.
But the money has gone missing. And since then, the Saudi government has not seen eye to eye to President Yamin.
Yes.
So, of course, he is then, going to Saudi Arabia, he probably might have to open up a conversation where at the end of it he agrees to step down from presidency.
I see. Believe it or not, we are precluded by our rules here from discussing sort of election matters. But that's why we thought we'll look at what's happening slightly outside our territorial waters. And it's obviously very interesting because our viewers are sending us questions. Now, one of them wants to know, why did President Nasheed renounce his presidency before his term ended?
Well, I did not want to rule by force.
Right.
There was a situation that part of the a small element of the police was in mutiny.
Right.
And to suppress that, the option available for me at that time was to use force, the military force.
Yeah.
I've never felt that you rule from the end of the barrel of a gun.
Right.
I've always felt that you can only rule if you have the consent of the people.
And by consensus.
And not certainly by brute force.
I see.
So I've never been wanted to rule anything by brute force. Therefore, I stepped down.
Here you go. What would have happened if the Sri Lankan armed forces in November 1988 succeeded in overthrowing the then Maldivian President Gayoom?
But Sri Lankan, this is very misguided. Sri Lankan armed forces never, ever attacked the Maldives.
There you go. I'm glad you're making that.
Someone's very, very misguided.
Right.
It was a mercenary group brought by disgruntled Maldivians.
I see.
So it was led by a Maldivian.
Right.
There was some amount of Sri Lankan nationals.
But they were mercenaries.
Certainly they were not the Sri Lankan army. This is madness to think that it was that.
I'm glad, ever so glad, that you've...
that you didn't go into such adventurism.
That's right. And also that it once again sort of ensures that, or it proves that the Sri Lankan armed forces have never indulged in this sort of departure process.
No, they would never do that. They are most disciplined army.
Right.
I have visited their barracks, I have visited their training camps a number of times, and in fact our military is trained in the Atalava.
The viewer who sent that question is saying that actually he or she said he referred to Sri Lankan armed persons.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I
thought
the viewer was going to do more mischief.
Right. Now then, another viewer says is asking whether you've sought Indian intervention in the current problem that you're having.
Yes.
And wants to know the part B of that question is, are you not treading on dangerous ground?
Well, the present situation is very dangerous.
Right.
We are losing a country.
Right.
And if we are unable to have free, fair and inclusive election by the end of this year,
right,
I am certain that we go into many years of autocracy.
Right.
And if we do that, if we have a dictatorship solidly entrenched in the Maldives, in my view, that's not going to be for the benefit of the Indian Ocean, stability of the Maldives.
Right.
So it is very, very important that we solve this issue now. I have requested Indian authorities to send an envoy backed by enough muscle and sort it out. In 1988, India came to the Maldives, they sorted it out, and they left.
Right.
We have never seen India as an occupying force.
Right.
For the last so many hundreds of years, there is a pattern of how India solves Maldives issues. They don't stay. They solve it and they go. So we would, and again, we're not necessarily, I don't think you need boots on the ground.
Right.
But forcefully going there.
What about the odd warship floating around nearby? Will that send a powerful enough message?
Well, yes, of course it has to be backed by not just simply empty words and rhetoric. And it has to be backed. And I think India can easily solve it.
Right.
I also feel that after your elections, I'm sure your government would give more focus to what's happening in the Maldives. It's very, very important for us. More than 15 to 20% of our tourism trade is actually owned by Sri Lankans.
Right.
You export more than $250 million of goods to the Maldives.
Right.
Again, through repatriation of profits, expatriate labor, Maldives and Sri Lanka has a good more than $1.5 billion of trade.
So we are co-joined at the waist, almost.
Well, we are, because we are cousins. And in fact, we are the only Sinhala Muslims, historically.
Right.
Yes.
So that's an interesting. That's a very interesting topic.
Well, myth has it. We share the same myth as Sri Lankans.
Right.
The lion story.
Right.
And also, there's a myth that further goes on to say that a princess with her entourage were banished to Maldives. That's why when your children are naughty, you kind of used to say, we will send you to the Maldives.
Right.
Of course, you wouldn't say it now because it's
a big gift to be sent to the Maldives.
Yes, but 2 generations back, this was the banishing islands.
I see.
So because you had banished your princesses, and that princess, apparently, according to myth, she established a kingdom. Of course, we have a lot of Buddhist ruins and all our customs, our language. And in fact, according to Colombo University, one of the atolls in the Maldives, Southern Hodu Atoll, they speak the pure original Elu, even now.
I see.
So Sri Lankans have kind of corrupted Elu to become the language that you are speaking.
Yes.
But because we were so remote, and we still are so right up to the 1940s, we were speaking a very pure form of Sinhala.
President Mohammed Nasheed, I'm so grateful for you sharing your thoughts and also to highlighting these problems that you're facing. And I do hope that you'll be able to, with the help of the international community and with the help of Sri Lanka, your cousins, that you will restore normalcy, restore democracy, and restore the due process of law, and basically the due process. Because departure from due process has all sorts of terrible things happening, as we evidence in your republic. President Nasheed, thank you very much. We wish you all the very best, and you can count on every available support that this network can give you in your quest to regain and recapture democracy.
Well, thank you very much. I am very honored. We've always been treated very, very well in Sri Lanka, and we are always, you are always welcome in the Maldives, and I'm sure we will deal with it. I'm sure we will sort it out. I'm sure we will establish and we will win against the odds.
Thank you very much. And that's the way it was on Newsline on Thursday, the 8th of February 2018. Take care. God bless.